Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another Wednesday evening with the Shower Door Professionals. You came to the right place. This is a fun group. Yeah, as you know, every Wednesday evening, 5:30 Pacific time, we are live streaming to Facebook and here in the Zoom room. You can always come and join us here if you'd like to. If you go to the Facebook page, and check out the announcement there that I've posted. There's a link that you can click on, come right into Zoom, and join us for a discussion. It's going to be a lot of interesting information shared here this evening. I think I was just watching the discussion, and I saw Robert had posted a question or a suggestion really about what to discuss this week and brought up the idea of warranties and warranty statements. I mean, what do you tell your customer about what to expect as far as, what your warranty is, what's covered, what's not? And I think, wow, that is a great topic of conversation. So we've got some high profile professional shower door guys here can kind of share what it is that you do, what works, and what doesn't. I know. I think it was Steve was talking a little bit about some issues he's having with water escaping from a shower door. If you can imagine that. I don't know. You want to talk about that a little bit, Steve? Or you
Strange
just want
place
to
to
forget
live
about it?
Yeah. So especially a frameless shower door, right? It's weird how water would come out of one of those.
Well,
But like we were discussing earlier, I tell the customer what to expect. It's not a fishbowl. There's no frame that I can. There's no positive lock on the doors. There's no frame of silicone around. You're gonna have gaps on the hinge side, the strike side, the threshold. We were discussing how a lot of times the threshold's not pitched in towards the shower pan, so then there's a problem there. But really, just tell them that it's not going to be completely sealed. You could have water issues. And I was just discussing one I'm dealing with now that I've thrown everything besides the little threshold at the bottom, underneath the sweep strip. So I'm kind of leaning towards that now and see if that cures it. If not, I'm kind of back to square one. So that was my story, anyways.
So when you're starting out, if you're in the sales process, how do you talk about these kind of things? And does anybody have? I'm sure somebody does. A kind of a standard warranty statement, something that you give people either uh, by digitally or in writing about what your warranties are, etc.
yeah,
I know Bill does.
Oh yeah.
I gotta hold it up. I mean, it's the riot act, really. But the funny part is when a customer calls and complains and we showed them that we talk, pick whatever it is, um, that the height of the handle pull will be centered vertically on the glass unless otherwise specified, or just simple things that come up all the time. Special cost for remanufacturing or transporting glass beyond ground floors that can't be traveled by stairs or elevator is not our responsibility, but the contractors. I mean, I've probably got 30 things here, but at the end of the day, just rip it up and we cover it. It's just like you can win the battle and lose the war. So it depends how hard you need to push or what the cost is. But at the end of the day, you got to please the customer, and you try and give them every scenario possible. They're responsible for moving loose items on the other side of the wall in case you drill and the vibration knocks off a grandma's china plate, I always say, or a expensive piece of art that was on the other side and you're hammer drilling through granite. And they should know enough to do that, but they don't. Oh, you told my wife, you didn't tell me, or, my house sitter, or whatever it is. At the end of the day, we have insurance and we just cover it. It's funny. We're thinking of reprinting these and just say everything's covered. Here, don't even bother. I've gone through them a number of times. I mean, on a rare occasion, somebody says, oh, yeah, you did tell me that. Okay. But at the end of the day, again, you got to make customers happy. So no matter what you tell them, you are the professional. They're going to tell you you are the professional. And I guess you have to be professional about it and you just do what's right.
So, this reminds me of my favorite movie and life story, Tommy Boy. A guarantee is only as good as the man who writes it.
Yeah.
And honestly, the legalese on the back of the work orders, the most creative thing I've ever seen done among our user base is I have a client in Denver who makes a what to expect video for each type of enclosure. And people are more apt to watch, especially something like that you can send them where you clearly didn't quickly grab it out of a drawer and throw some contract in their face and you didn't feel like you're backpedaling. So if you get ahead of it in a very kind way, exactly what you just said, I think it was Steve, no, who just spoke, exactly you say it's like a fishbowl, here's kind of what to expect. A great question to a customer is, what are you hoping to achieve out of this shower when it comes to leakage? Just make this assumptive that all showers will leak to a degree. Ask them, what are your leakage expectations? And they'll be honest with you. I don't even care. I got tile outside. I'll slip and slide my way in. I want this thing frameless. Bam. Like the chances of them coming back are far unlikely. Another one, have you had a shower install before? Have you ever, first thing I ask our salespeople, have you ever taken a shower in a frameless shower door? A lot of them are like, no, I never have. I've never been to a hotel or a nice home. So I think it's all about framing expectations in a way that doesn't scare customers away from your service.
Great point.
I agree with Jim and also with Bill. I think you do have to stand by your work, but I think there are some really basic things that need to be addressed on the very front end that make that enclosure function function in the best way. And I think we all know this. Is that curb sloped in? Do you have appropriate studding? I find that curbs that slope out or that are level, that we're the professional, and they're relying on our input. And I make it a point to check that condition. I'm sure you all do too, every time. And if it is sloping out in a professional way, in a non-accusatory way, point that out and say this thing will function significantly better if we can correct this on the front end, because you guys know we can't make water run uphill. But again, I agree with Bill. You're going to go back. You can write all the things you want. You're going to go back. But I think that's one. If you can eliminate that, and then you have proper studying, you're probably never going to hear from them again. If you can eliminate those couple things right there in the whole scheme of things.
And how many opportunities do we get to catch that in the early stages? Clients will call us before they've even framed the shower, or we'll get images and little videos into big clips where it's still framed. And you can get ahead of the conversation by, hey, a couple things to look out for. You might want to make sure you have some studding where the door is at, and you want to probably make sure that seal is downsloped. That's a differentiator. It's a caring differentiator that you're actually looking out for their best interests in areas that they're not aware of. That was a really good point, Michael.
Yeah, we've created a design tips brochure just for that.
Well, I like
so you try and get people in the showroom as they're building or framing it out, and where to put the extra studding, how to pitch the curb, what's acceptable. Some people go over the top and they pitch it too much in. Right. So your sweep will bind if the door's swinging out. Right. So you've got that scenario. You've got the scenario where your little half walls are way out of plumb, and your door's got to be cut with a bow tie cut. Yeah. And we're just doing things to help save them. How many times do they want a steam shower and you go out there and you drop a plumb line and the soffit's not even close to lining up with the line of the curb? So now they're going to have to pick it. What do you want? You want the bottom to line up? Is that what you're going to look at most often? Or do you want the top to line up? Because right now they don't. And
and I know you, I'm assuming, and I'm sure I'm right, that you all use lasers. I think these lasers with these lines on them, to Bill's point, when you put that down on the curb and it doesn't line up with that soffit, they see that visually. you can, like you said, pick your poison. Where do you want this thing to look the best? Down below. But that visual sight line has gotten me out of a lot of I guess challenging consultations.
Absolutely.
No.
I mean, everybody's making a good point. If you can be proactive and have field awareness as you're measuring it, the problems you get into, most of this is with contractors that tell you to do something, pass it over to homeowners, and they sell, and they back out of it and just put you on it.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to order the door before the curb's in. Oh, it's going to be 3/4. Just go ahead. Everything else, all your walls are done. Go ahead and order it, and the guy's going to put the curb on. And you get there, and the curb's out of level, it's out of pitch, and then it's on us. Now, what are we going to do? Throw the stone guy under the bus? Throw the contractor under the bus? What are you going to do, right?
You know, it's just like I went out to a house and the guy had a steam shower. He brought me a picture in, enough to quote it.
Yeah.
I go to the job, and here's a steam shower, and it's got a sheetrock roof,
Yeah.
and it's not even sloped.
Well, you'll get to redo it again in a few years.
I mean, well, yeah. So, and the guy's doing the tile work. He's still there. Am I going to throw him under the bus?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're right.
Kinda. I mean, it's also just an educational experience. A lot of subs we learn from each other too, and we get I think scared.
And so I look at the ceiling. I go, okay, is there any backing up there?
Yeah.
No.
So Chris, what is the number one warranty issue? What's the number two warranty issue? Let's use the 80-20 rule. What is the most common things people complain about that could be covered in a warranty? They just say, well, you know, that's not a warrantyable issue.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think absolutely the number one thing is what I call water escaping from the enclosure. I mean, I don't call it leaking, because leaking is when water's not supposed to get out and it does. That's a leak. If water is going to get out, I mean, like a sieve doesn't leak, right? I mean, it's designed to let water get through. And so it's just having that conversation about, a frameless shower enclosure not holding all of the water. And if there's the chance to do some design and to be involved in that stage of the development, that's awesome, because you can really help lead people in that direction. But the fact is, there are situations where there's nothing you can ever do, no matter how many times you go, no matter how much stuff you stick on there, no matter how many tubes of caulking you empty out in somebody's shower. Mm-hmm. Water's going to get out. Mm-hmm. Because of the way that they use the shower, because of the way the shower head is pointed, because of the design of the shower stall, so many things that are outside of our control. So for me, I mean, that's something that I always cover with customers in advance. And it's like Steve's talking about. I mean, he talked to them about this, and now he's on the other side of it, and they've still got a problem. And it's just like Bill was saying, even if it's not your problem, you take it on, because it's one customer out of 100, right? So if you've got to go back to that job 5 times, and just convince them that you care and that you're trying, and there's really nothing that can be done about it, eventually they come to terms with it, and it's all good. I still feel
like the number one warranty is overconfidence. I mean, I served when during my prime, it was mostly movie stars and directors. I mean, my primary install was the Yellowstone Club in Bozeman, Montana. I mean, the Terminator and Sam Falconello, I did Justin Timberlake store. I would go into every shower with, oh man, this is nasty. It was the first thing I'd say. Even if it was perfectly square, I'd be like, this is gonna be tough. We're talking 3-4 panels. I've done 100 of them, but I start with, okay, we've got imperfect tile, got perfect glass, just like I used to do rock chips with auto glass. I'm great at rock chips. I love them. It was always, oh my gosh, this is bad. Oh, I knew it was bad. I'm gonna try to make it go away. I'm gonna do my best to at least make it not run. And then when it disappears, customers were just jacked. When the shower goes in smooth and they were expecting, 1/4 inch gap, or they're expecting that sight line built to your point, they're part of the solution because you are putting in perfect glass into imperfect structure. And it's not that I lie to people, but man, set yourself up where if something goes wrong, it's always on the job you don't want it to go wrong. It's always on the big ticket job. It's always on the one. Bill, it's your good friend. Steve, it's your sister-in-law. It's always that job that goes wrong. And it's easy to get like, oh, I'm good at this. This is my career. This is what I love to do. It doesn't solve everything, but it really helps everyone to go in humbly and start with, this is, all of us have years and years of experience. None of us in this call are going to go to every door feeling really good about it. And let's just be honest, you got to really be thoughtful. It also keeps me in check to make sure I check myself, double measure, that I don't catch myself being like, it's just a single door or it's just a door panel, get into that rhythm. So I still feel like that's the number one problem I run into when I'm playing customer whisperer to my guys.
Yeah. I mean, managing expectations, right? Mm-hmm. So if you go in there and say, oh yeah, don't expect, don't promise someone the moon. Go in there and say, hey, look, just, you're going to have to accept the fact that this is not going to be perfect, that probably a little water is going to get out. You're going to be okay with having a bath mat. And if you walk people through that, they usually can come to terms with it pretty easily. But if you make them think that everything's going to be, perfect, and it's not perfect, then then you've got an issue there. It's not necessary.
If I was going to rate them like Bill asked, I would, at least in our situation, I would tell you the curb conditions and the lack of studding are 1A and 1B. All those things you guys just said do apply, setting the expectations. But I always say there's two things that are going to make this enclosure function better than function best, and that is that curb is sloped in, and because I can handle an out of level situation, but it needs to be sloped in, and if you have proper studding in the walls for if we're going to hang your door off the hinges. Other than that, and same language. These things are beautiful. They're but they're not aquariums. There will be some water out, but if you do those two things, you will have a really nice functional enclosure for a long time.
And when do you have to put your foot down and say, I'm not going to touch this till it's retiled? That's another hard part. There's times I've tried to save the tile guy. They're usually friends of mine. And then where do you put your foot down? To Bill's point, the contractor, there's a certain point where you got to be like, hey, this is not what was planned. And you have to do that diplomatically and with respect. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there is a time that's really hard. That takes a lot of discipline. And I'm not great at that, to be honest.
But what we do, and those are awesome points, but in a professional way, if that curb is too unsavable, I always say, I know I'm going to ruffle feathers. I don't want to do that, but you're going to live here every day and take a shower every day. And my name's on this. Can I talk to your tile guy? If we can do this now, you will not regret this in the future. Yeah, those are sometimes tough conversations. But if you pose it right, Jim, like you're saying, in a respectful way, a lot of them guys will be like, well, damn it, you're right. I should have checked that. Let me take care of it.
Now, getting back to Chris's point, we were talking about warrantyable items. This is being field awareness prior to you even making the sale or measuring for it, right? So these items that are really good helps prevent problems in the future, but it's not necessarily warranty. It's not a situation yet for warranty.
You're right.
Correct? So what are the most common things for warranty? For instance, I get calls after we do a new construction house that the glass is scratched. How often do you get that? Now, we've been in here, we're clean, we've cleaned it, we know it's good. We know the cleaning people come in later and they've got their razor blade or whatever they're doing to try and
they go to town on it.
And they go to town, and all of a sudden you've got scratches, and you know darn well the scratches weren't on the glass when you were there.
Yeah.
So that's a warrantyable item, right? Because they're going to put it in as a punch list. Now, how you're handling that?
Well, once the customer initially inspects the glass,
yeah,
and you leave the job,
yeah,
they can't come back later and say that the glass was scratched.
Really?
No, I mean they
You've
can.
Never had that.
They can do it, but it's but they've already inspected the glass. I mean that wouldn't qualify in my thinking for warranty. I mean anybody, like you said, anybody could have scratched the glass.
Of course.
It's like 24 hours scratch warranty.
We get it.
24 hours?
all the time. They're saying, oh, the lights, you guys finished late. There wasn't sunlight in there. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, anybody else in after us? Well, of course, the cleaning people were in.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, it's between the two of you. Well, it could be the cleaning person. It could be this one. I mean, that's just one little item that I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But that is a warrantyable issue. And on a 4-piece custom, it could be a lot of money by just swapping out one panel. You may ruin the other ones, cutting the seam or spending forever to clean the caulking off.
So, I mean, you have a warranty on the glass scratching after it's been installed?
No.
But you get calls for it, don't you?
You know, we did a house out in Pebble Beach here, beautiful house, insulated
Yeah.
glass. The whole house was sided, no spraying. The window washer comes in, he's got his, I guess, a Walkman at the time, headset on. He sprays the glass, and he's going down it with a razor blade. And my guy working for me says, "You're gonna scratch the glass." And he told my guy to, mind his own goddamn business. We go, well, then there was, razor blade marks all the way down the glass. So I had a sales rep come down for the company, and he looked at me, looked at the window washer guy, and he goes, "I think you got an employee problem," and they just scratched the whole house up. And the guy wouldn't listen,
I did that. I had a pretty big house I completed last year, and I did a burnt glass wall, and there was probably 8 sections of probably 48 by 96 inch, pieces all down the side of this house. And about a year later, this builder called me. About 2 months ago, he called me back and said, "Hey man, all this glass is scratched." And I was like, "Dude, this has been a long time." And I was like, "I'm gonna be in the area in a couple of weeks doing a house. I'll stop by and take a look at it." And as soon as I got there, I mean, you can just see the razor blade scratches all down.
He's just going like this down the glass.
And I remember I told that builder that day I was there, I said, "Man, I've got this glass in," because he was rushing me on the glass, getting it installed. I remember the stucco guy was there just blowing stucco everywhere. And I said, "Man, y'all gonna have to really cover this glass. It's gonna be a nightmare with stucco and paint and everything else." And come to find out, that's what happened. They blew stucco everywhere. The cleaners were sitting there cleaning it with probably one razor blade. And I told that guy, I said, "Man, I guarantee you it's the cleaners, because let's walk to the next window that I didn't even put in, and let's check it out." And we walked to the next window that was just a twin window, scratched the shit the same way. So I was like, I mean, that's plain and simple, And I told him, he goes, "Well, what are you gonna do about it?" I said, "Well, I can rip it all out and replace it, but it's gonna be the exact same price that it was the first time." And haven't got a call back yet. But
like 10 minutes.
James.
Yeah, I mean, so Bill, I mean, what do you do in a situation like that? Do you try to remove scratches, or just go straight to replacing the glass?
We have a scratch removal kit for every truck. Every guy's been trained on using it, but if it's close to the edges, you can't get it. It can take out of the bulk of it. Yes.
So what do you use?
What do
you use for removing?
Oh, Jesus. Oh, for removing the glass or removing
No, the scratches. What do you use for that?
Tim, I can't tell you the name of the company. I can't remember it, but they're out of Atlanta.
So I use a glass weld system.
Yeah, it's glass weld. That's right.
It takes a little bit to do it, but you can.
It does.
Yeah.
You just got to watch out you don't fisheye it. Going too
well, yeah,
heavy
but
and you
if
start
you
to warp it.
if you use a cerium oxide with a polishing pad, then you really screw it up, because you'll have a big old.
That's the one, glass weld. Very, very good system.
Yeah.
I think every glass guy should have that. And actually, that could be a division of your company, because you can make a living removing scratches from people's windows in their homes.
Oh yeah, I had a job where it got scratched. I didn't have the time to do it, but somebody else was doing it over in Santa Cruz, and they came over and did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a good call for that.
I use it on the table here at the shop. I don't do it on the job, because we'll find the scratches before we go out, if there is any.
Yeah, I mean, if you can sub out that, if you know somebody who does that kind of scratch removal service, that's a good guy to have in your Rolodex. Whatever,
Same thing with tub repair, marble repair, granite repair.
Gotta have it.
What about the imperfections, like naturally in the glass, seeds, little air pockets that are off the off of the sight line, your suppliers, there's an industry standard, if you can see it within 10 feet, whatever.
Well, it's at eye level,
Yeah.
I think it's 3 feet, I think.
Now, the glass industry standards, that's a great question, by the way, Bob. Industry standards are 10 feet.
Yeah.
10 feet to be able to see it with the naked eye, right? But they don't say 10 feet with the sun coming directly in it, so it would highly spotlight a little flaw or nickel inclusion or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, that's on here. We replace it.
I try to jokingly tell them that glass is for looking through and not at. And
That's what the same sales rep that I had go look at the scratch glass. He goes, it's for looking through, not at.
Yeah.
That was, he was a great sales rep.
When
That's
people are
true.
paying big dollars for these shower doors, they expect you to give them a pretty perfect job.
No, I had one.
Replace it.
I had one. It was Starfire, and guys put it in. We look at it on the table here, but you don't see it all. Once you get it in, it's right at eye level, and they replace it.
Yeah.
They just give me the glass. I'm screwed with the labor,
But sometimes there's the smallest little dots.
yeah, little dot.
Smallest little air bubble, but the sun hits it every morning at 10 o'clock when it comes through, and it just bothers me.
Once you
I
know it's
replaced
there,
one.
it's there.
I
That's it.
replaced one once that had a little tiny nick in the seam of the polishing that was 7 feet high, 6.5 feet high. Because of the lighting in the bathroom, if you looked at it, it shone, and you could see it. And the lady just wouldn't have it. And you're right, you just go and replace it, do your thing. But really, I could have just walked away from it too.
Yeah, you can, but that just leaves a sour taste in their mouth.
Yeah. I would look forward to jobs going down the road.
I guess I look at it like, how would I want somebody to treat me?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to be unreasonable about it. If it's something that's stupidly unreasonable, then we need to talk about it. But if it's somewhat within reason, we're going to fix it. We're going to do it.
Really, I mean, how often is this happening? I mean, how many
Not
customers, is it 1 in 20? Something like that.
Not even
So-
What do you guys talk?
Not
I'll
even
just jump
that.
in. What are you guys talking about?
Just a customer being a little bit unreasonable about imperfections in glass, or
I had one of those this week.
stuff like that. I mean,
I
I
had
guess
one this week.
you can set up your business so that you draw those people, but I mean, my business doesn't. So it's like I probably have 1 in 20, 30 customers who I think they're being a little unreasonable. But like Bill says, if you can't make a deal, then you just replace it.
You just replace it. Swallow your pride and do it. Yeah.
What do
Yeah,
you
I
do
had
Great. It
about
makes it
the-
make it makes a great nice glass desk in your office, like the other 15.
Yeah.
With a nice little power cord that goes right through the hinge cap.
So many glass desks.
Oh yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Oh, my wife
I know
used it for
I
Christmas.
love when my dad used to laugh when customers would be like, "That's a beautiful display room." And he'd just look at me, and I'm just like, "Yeah, it's all my mistakes from the first couple of years learning this back in 2003 when nobody was doing it."
My wife used them for a Christmas village because then you can bring the cords up from underneath at all the hinge notches.
Well, that's perfect. That's actually a great idea.
Yes. You cut a little through the cotton, you put the cord in where the handle holes were. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, I'm gonna mount my white shower door to the wall and just use it as my whiteboard. So
It's great.
See that?
There you go. Repurposing.
Make lemonade.
Yeah. Okay, so
You talk about scratches in glass and stuff. So out here, we got a lot of homes on the coast that have very large laminated units that come out of Mexico, Curvista. And now they make the contractor come down to the factory and they bring that glass out into a lighted warehouse and they have to inspect it before it is put on the truck and shipped, because they were getting so many rejects. So that's what they do now.
If
That's
they're
what I
getting
do.
that many rejects, then they have a real problem anyhow.
Well,
Again,
yeah, I know,
that
but
many
no, it
rejects.
was normal for what they were doing, but they'd get to a job and they go, no, we don't want that. Now they have to fly down there and they bring that glass out and they inspect it. They watch it put on the truck, crated, and then they leave and hope the truck doesn't get opened at the border.
Yeah. Well, so kind of getting back to the topic here a little bit.
Okay.
So the next thing, here's the one. What about cracked tile, broken tile?
What I was gonna ask, yeah.
I
Huh?
just did that the other day.
Wait, after we drill or before?
Exactly.
I
But
have
at
I have a terms and condition for that. I always give my customers terms and conditions. I go, if we break tile while drilling, hey, sometimes it's good, it's bad. If we break it, we're not replacing it. It's just part of it. It's stone. We don't know if the contractor did a good job, installing it or not. But if it breaks, we're not reliable or responsible for any cracked or broken tile. It says it right there.
And what do you do when they push you on it?
When they push you on it, I go read my terms and conditions. There's nothing I can do. Once you throw that at their face, they're like, seems like they have no fight. They can't. What can they do?
No,
We pay to replace it. We just replace it. We were the last ones that touched it. Just like I replaced the hoods and roofs of cars that got scratched over the years. Unfortunately, I'm not disagreeing with you, Adrian. I understand, especially if you can articulate it early, and that's what we talked about earlier. You can get ahead of it, and they're more empathetic with you. They'll usually understand, but they push a little bit, Bill. I mean, I just feel like you're the last one that touched it. It sucks. The mechanic broke my truck the other day, and he took care of it. And it wasn't his fault, but he just took care of it.
Like yesterday, I went to go measure a house that has 3 showers, and all of them were the seals were all flat, were all level, and then one had a little pitch to the outside. I go, hey, I can't. I'll do this job, but I can't warranty none of it. And they asked me why it's level. I go, no, you need to have a pitch going down inside the water. It goes back in. And the tile guy seems to argue with me. I'm like, okay, well, I got terms and conditions. I'll do the job, but you got to read it and sign it. If you have any leaks, say, I'm sorry, I'm not warranting this. And they were okay with it. As long as you have something written and showing that, pretty much they're okay. They are 100% okay with it. So I'm not going to be reliable for no damages after I leave. I told them. That's how it is. I'm not going to pay my guys to come back and do something that I already know is going to happen. So, yeah.
So who else? Let's talk more about this tile thing. What are your policies when it comes to broken tiles?
Well, my policy if I break, there's no policy. They have to pay for it.
You already told us. So I was thinking about maybe somebody else.
My guys will replace it. Like the one we broke, they had a 2-inch tile, a 1-inch tile, another 2-inch tile. So you were drilling right close to the edge, and it just blew it apart. And something like that, we actually drive the plug through the tile, so we're not putting any pressure on the tile, and it still broke.
So your policy is like, if you break it, you bought it.
So call the guy, and he goes, "I'll get the tile guy back to fix it."
Yeah, especially if they want it done close to the edge. That's kind of like, that's that red area. Like, hey, you know what? It could break because there's not enough to balance out when you screw down the tile. There's no balance there.
Yeah,
all the balance is all on one side of the tile already. So
one word.
I always talk to my customers out to going outside the tile. I always go center. I go, it's better. You have less chance of the water coming out. It balances your tile from one side to the other. When you go center, then your water hits that. It has more chance of going back in than coming out. And they're 100%. Most of them are okay with it. You got to paint them a pretty picture with some dumb pictures on it where they can understand it, and then they're okay with it. So I'll never go to the edge ever because I know it's going to break. So most of the time, or half the time.
So, Chris, interesting thing about the tiles too is you've got a couple of scenarios. One is when you're doing something that's newly tiled and you're drilling it. But the second one that we run into most often is when you're doing removals of the old frame doors, starting to take it off, and some guys put it on with epoxy instead of caulking, and all the tiles come off with the channel. That's a different scenario. I mean, you're trying to blade it, put a putty knife behind it, a little long saw, and the whole thing's coming down. And you've trashed their door. They can't even put the old door back up because we found out it was the frame door that was holding the tile up. The tile had like zero mastic behind it. Those are just so obvious that it was a tile issue. And that's where we got a tile guy involved and said, look, even when you put this back, pretty good chance the rest of your whole shower is like this. It just wasn't done right.
Then
And-
that turned into like a full shower remodel after that. Huh?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, if it's just on those, you know that their technique was the same everywhere. But that's a big scenario, or you're doing removals and there's a stain, and you know when you're putting the new door in, there's no stain on the threshold. So do you give them the option of doing the removal in advance, let them get a tile guy in there and stain it and clean the stain, and then you install? Or do they want you to go ahead and install, cover up as much as you can, and deal with it later?
Right.
So you got all these scenarios.
Yeah,
Technically,
What I do,
Holes whenever you remove, because I know you do a lot of refurbs.
yes.
And what do you do with all the holes in the whole frame units?
Well, don't forget, a lot of times when we're doing that, we're putting up a frameless door with channel. That's going to go back over those holes. So you see a lot of our pictures that have channel. Many times it's because we're replacing a frame door. So we're going to follow that same path wherever possible. However, there are times that you're not, and we're going to try and fill that with caulking with the same color as the tile. I think we have 12 colors in every truck, just those little tubes. Right. And one of these things a while ago, I was telling guys there's a pretty good trick my installers were using with clear caulking. As you start drilling the tile, collect the dust and make a paste with that caulking, and then put it in.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing.
Yeah, because then the color match. You can't do it on the white ones that have the red brick behind it, but
Oh no.
a lot of the other beige
I do
color
the same
ones
thing.
work good. Yeah. You can make a pretty good paste out of that with the clear caulking, and then you can just putty knife it in, and it really blends pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Really does. But we always take pictures too, like when you're drilling a threshold and it cracks, and you take off the piece of cracks and you see there's a huge void under there because they put the cement down and they set it. Well, the cement is drying and it hasn't adhered to that threshold, and it leaves a void. The guys put the curb on before the thin set dried good enough. And as it's drying, it's shrinking and it's leaving a void. Of course, when you drill it, it's hollow, it's going to crack.
Yeah.
And usually when you show customers that, it's pretty obvious. But
yeah, and that's kind of more like what I was getting to earlier about talking about liability when it comes to drilling tile. I mean, there are situations where if the tile is not properly installed, you can't drill it. I mean, you can drill it fine without cracking it, but when you go to install the hardware, that's when it cracks.
Sure. Because
there's no backing behind it. And so, I mean, my policy really is that I'm not responsible for broken tile. I've made mistakes before where I've drilled in the wrong spot. If I drop a tool on something and break it, or if I drill something in the wrong place, I mean, it's obviously my fault, and I'm happy to replace it. But if I go to mount a hinge and the tile cracks because there's no thin set behind it, I don't really feel responsible for replacing that tile. Now, I won't fight with a customer. I mean, if they're not going to be reasonable, then it's always easier just to go ahead and pay for it and move on, get on to the next happy place.
Yeah.
But it varies. I mean, sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's not.
Like typically what you guys were saying about replacing, old frame unit with the frameless. I never ordered the glass before. I always remove it, and then I measure to make sure I get exact size. And then I have a guy that I work with. He owns a carpet cleaning company here in town. It's actually one of my best friends. We go fishing every weekend. We go fishing, and he takes them out. He cleans all the tile for me, scrubs it down. He has a machine that scrubs the tile really good, And then he gives the customer, if it's a shower pan, he gives an option to paint it to make it look white. And about 80% of the customers are okay with that because, you know, around here, people are like freaking really clean freaks. They like, you know, they like that stuff. So, pretty much 80% of the time, I have somebody always remove my glass for me, cleans it, and I go right behind them and I measure. And it costs them, you know, $300 to do that. But to me, you know, they enjoy it, they like it because he goes and and he's a tile guy too. So if he sees any cracked tile or anything, he'll either replace it or he'll, you know, make something happen out of it. And I always have him do that for me. So thank God I never have to run into an issue with the broken tile. You know, sometimes I do have to remove it and, you know, and you know, fix the tiles or do it myself. But most of the time, I always have somebody doing it for me.
Adrian, how do you handle that when that's maybe the only shower, the primary shower in the house, and you're telling them you're going to take it out and then they're going to wait 2 weeks or what more to get their new shower enclosure?
Oh, most of the time they say, oh, okay, I have another shower. Most of the people are okay with it. I mean, you just got to make it, you know, it's like, I want to follow the old hole. So what I do, I always drill hole to hole, always drill my lines and make sure as much as I can, I get the glass over those old holes so you don't see them again. And it's just, you know, I just make them understand that's my policy. That's how I do it. I never have anybody complain about that ever. Now, they do complain when I do take a long time getting the glass. And that's, you know, unfortunately, sometimes that happens, you know, because, you know, glass is glass, you know, something I can do about it. You know, and especially these times, you know, these days, you can't get hardware hardly, you know. I mean, there is hardware now. I mean, I'm getting, you know, like, I mean, I'm stacking up on glass, you know, hardware right now, but I mean, I just make them understand that's how we do it. I mean, if they want to do some other way, they go somewhere else, but, you know, you know, but most of the time they're okay with me doing it. You know, my reputation around here is good enough where they'll want me to do it. So they'll just do what I want at the time. Sometimes the customers are always right, and you know, it's just, you know, you got to tell them how things need to be done half the time. And most of the time they'll follow it. You know, they'll say, okay, that's what I do. I mean, it's just that's how it is.
Adrian,
You know?
we missed you here. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. And sorry I haven't gone back to you, Bill, man. I've been so busy and I'm just so tired, man. By the time at the end of the day, when I want to meet with them, like, do I want to do this today? And I'm like, no. I jump in my truck and I go home.
No,
Yeah, I
problem.
don't want to over push it, but you know, when we teach customer service, you know, it's all about trying to get your way around the table so you're next to the customer. And I feel like most of these scenarios we're talking about, you build a relationship, you connect with empathy, big thing Keith's been helping me with. We workshop that out. You really work your way into that relationship moment. And a lot of these things, they work themselves out. I mean, and to your point, Adrian, obviously, if the customer and Chris, if the customer's like, oh man, you know, I was worried about that, we'll have the tile guy come. Sometimes it's, hey, how about I split it with you? How about you know, at the end of the day, we used to have this huge sign in my shop. Our product is how the customer feels when we're done. That's it. You could be the best installer. If you're arrogant and a jerk and you just have some BO, they're going to hate you. Even if it's the best installation in the market. No one cares about the technical. I've had technicians that are terrible. Customers ask for them over and over and over again because they remember their kids' names and the birthdays and they do amazing things. It's important to be incredibly great at your installs, but also incredibly great at connecting with people. And I don't mean to over promote that, guys, but that's just the modern customer expects that, and they expect it digitally and in person. So it's both. You got to do it on both levels.
Yeah, that can't be overstated, Jim. You're absolutely right. It's all about that. It's all about like that human psychology and just making people just feel good about it. You know, that's how you end up with like dozens and dozens of 5-star reviews.
You know, what he makes such a good point is that we have an advantage in this industry because traditionally the trades have a bad rap. That you're good with your hands, but you're terrible with your soft skills. And so you're starting from an expectation that's very low. All you got to do is answer the phone politely, and you're setting a new standard for the trade. So we've got such an advantage because they don't expect it from you. So you just do half of what Jim's saying, and you're going to be way ahead of most of your competitors in your industry.
And it's easier with shower doors, guys. It's easier with
is.
shower doors than foggy windows, nothing, because with shower doors, they really want to do the project. They hate the price. They're excited. They've been waiting for this for a long time. Yet they know you're going to screw them. They know you're going to be late. They know you're going to lie to them. They know you're going to make them redo the tile. They've got all this uphill battle. So the jump is easier. You get that first moment of kindness, that first moment of connection. You articulate it well early, get that set up. You under promise, over deliver. Quickly, they're like, this guy's on my team. Adrian's my man. Chris is going to help me. And you're on their team. With like foggy windows, windshields, no one likes to pay for that crap. Then you're like not only having to work harder, but then you also have to make them feel great and assure them it's not going to happen again. And a lot of times they're afraid because they broke. So enjoy being in shower doors. You're all a lot smarter than the rest of the industry. So it's a harder skill outside of it. So embrace that fact and then just double down on it.
Yeah, and that's how you get new business and repeat business. And
repeat business.
They go out to dinner with their friends and they say, "Oh my God, what a great company! This Jim guy, he treated me so good. He's the guy you're going to call when you need it." And that's
especially in the
grows.
high-end communities, they just love talking about great experiences in their home. It's like that's their favorite thing. So you treat them really well. I mean, treat everybody well. I don't care who they are, but especially in the communities where you want to go. Like that post the other day Keith did, like you want to go on a skyscraper and you're going boom, 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 boom. You want like neighbor talking to neighbor, especially you're already going up those stairs. You might as well take 3 doors instead of 1,
Yeah.
They compare notes too.
Oh, without a
They all
doubt.
have friends.
I did a job for a guy the other day in a lake community, and he was telling me they have a notebook and they go around and they kind of secretly, this contractor's good, this one's bad. This carpenter's good, this tile layer is good. Stay away from this one. So they talk.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to be blacklisted. That goes hard fast.
So you talk about foggy windows. So we're a full service glass shop, and we have here on the Monterey Peninsula, we have Fort Ord, and we have housing out there, all new housing with mill guard windows. They fog up right and left. So they keep us,
especially when they get shipped over the passes and they breaks all the breather tubes. They forget to pinch them at the factory.
No.
It's like guaranteed.
No, these don't have the breather tubes.
Always fails.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. But that happens to us all the time. That they're just going to fog.
They fail all the time, and we do the Fort Ord housing, we do the Navy housing, and that'll keep us busy because when people move into these houses, they're old ones and new ones. They say, "I got a fogged up window," they have to replace them. And we can go out and do 5 or 6 windows in one house.
I do the Air Force Base here nearby, about 30 minutes away. We just got done doing 1,100 brand new windows in the housing. It was a lot of work. Oh God.
Who handles that? The park? Who handles the housing up there?
What was that? Oh, Air Force Base. It's called Bright something.
Down here it's called the Parks.
Yeah, this one's called Bright something. I forgot what company it is. It's called Bright View or something. Bright View. It's the people that take care of the community. Yeah, we just did 1,100 freaking windows.
We don't sell them. We just go replace the units.
Oh no, they want a whole brand new one. So we give them a price for both.
No, we don't do that. We keep busy replacing units right and left out there.
I'd rather do 10 shower doors at Bill's shop in their market for the same profit.
Yeah. But
we did about 1,100, but then they have other housing in the other side, and we are always there too. We do quite a bit for them. Like you said, Milgard's always failing. Their low E's always getting all messed up, and they got a lot of Anderson windows out there, man. Those things are a pain in the butt to do, but we do.
Like I say, Milgard keeps their guys busy replacing units.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're talking about warranties. We're talking about.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys this question. I when I jumped in, you guys were talking about like smudges and scratches on the glass. Okay, so I got a customer. I'm gonna have to replace it for her. I don't want to, but it's just it's that 3-foot rule. It looks like I order all my glass mainly from Old Castle, and they do a pretty good job here in Fremont. They do really good work, but sometimes they have their like everybody else, they have their moments. But it looks like I got the glass with Diamond Fusion on it, and it looks like maybe during the wash or something, maybe the water got left, and then they put the diamond fusion on, but if you look at it in an angle, it looks like it, like you can see like maybe like a stain from the water. I don't know what it was, but you can't see it looking at it straight on. But if you go inside where the lighting is and you look up, you can see the streaks of it. What would you guys do in that situation like that? I mean, it's like you
Is that
can't see
regular
it.
glass or shower guard?
Polish it.
It's a diamond fusion. It's a ultra clear glass with diamond fusion, and they coat both sides. So there's nothing I can do about that. So I don't know.
Oh, so
either,
they use the diamond fusion.
yeah, they coat both sides.
Yeah, I use a shower guard through them, and sometimes they'll have a streaking in that.
What do you do in that situation? I mean, because this customer, she's not gonna let it go, and the bad thing is she waited 7 months to tell me. I'm like, 7 months? I go, they're not gonna replace it for me. I mean, and it was sorry to say, bleep bleep to get it inside the bathroom. It was she wanted it to the ceiling, and she had no curb, so it was like really really tight fit to get in there. It was very hard to get in. Now she wants to replace it.
I've polished those streaks out before.
But wouldn't the coating come off though?
When it's coated, you can't do it.
So how did you do that, Steve?
Just use my Milwaukee polisher, and you just I use gosh, I can't think of the name of the little kit I've got, but not an abrasive, just with just a buffing wheel, just one of the wool buffing wheels.
Yeah.
With the polish.
With nothing on it?
Very lightly, very lightly.
And how do you get through the diamond fusion though? The diamond fusion, man, that stuff is really thick. I mean, it's on there. I don't think you ever get it off. I mean, unless you.
Steve's saying he's buffed them out before. Did you try it? Have you?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth a try.
Yeah,
and then you can always go back and get some kind of a reapplication of something, and
yeah,
over just to show that you're reapplying something on it.
Yeah, my buddy that does the carpet cleaning, he does all that for me too if I need him to. Maybe I'll have him go by and do that before I order the new glass. I'm gonna have to pay for it out of my own pocket. She waited so long, but she doesn't understand that part. She doesn't understand the 3-foot rule. She doesn't understand none of that. So it's like, okay, well, and she's the older. I mean, I'm just gonna have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
She has another business here in town. I don't want to make conflict with her, so I'm just gonna have to just do it. I hate losing money.
Yeah, and hey, I wouldn't mind, some other people who haven't really talked very much can kind of get in here and talk a little bit too. But I'm just curious about how long of a warranty do you extend? Do you have a different warranty for parts and labor, or how do you do that?
I warranty everything for a year, and that's workmanship too. After that, then no warranty. After that, so if it leaks or anything like that,
I wasn't meaning like you specifically, Adrian, but like some other people, maybe some other people who haven't had a chance to talk very much yet.
Call them out by name, Chris.
Hey, Bill Dobman.
No, I've been talking. Call somebody else out by name. I would love to hear Vito.
Yeah, there you go.
Vito's been on here. We rarely hear him talk, but the guy's been in the business a while. Maybe he's just streaming it or listening to it because he's muted out.
Maybe he's dozed off.
What do you guys do in terms of warranty? What do you do about caulking in your sealants? I know you've gotten phone calls from people who say, hey, there's mold and mildew. Can you come out here and redo this and cut it out? We try to use mildew resistant caulks. The sealant people that vendor I buy my sealants from, I specifically ask, what's the best I can buy to minimize or eliminate that? And I pay the extra money for it. However, it seems like there's always one instance where, you're going to get that phone call and say, hey, this stuff, it's got mildew. So how do you guys handle that? And do you warranty that?
No.
I can help with that.
Yeah.
We had that, and often it's not the caulking, it's whatever they've used to have a chemical reaction with the caulking. For instance, pine salt does that. If they put it on there and it sits, it starts to actually turn it black, and it's a chemical reaction. It's not mold, because you could go there with bleach and put it on there and it does not come off. So you do have to cut it away. So it's a lot of their cleaning products that actually cause that to happen. That's why we tell them that you don't use those type of products when you clean. Now, we'd leave a little warranty card hanging on the door when we're done, and we give them cleaning instructions. Another thing that we've had is where people call us and tell us that the finish on the channeling is coming off. And we found that they use Tilex. And the Tilex, which is made for tile, has an acid, and the acid's good for cleaning tile and grout, but terrible on your metal finishes. And come to find out, I found out that Tilex will pay a claim. You can give them an estimate to replace the door and the metals, and Tilex will send them a check to do that. We've pushed it because it says on the Tilex label that it's good for shower doors, and it's not. But their bean counters there figured the amount of claims that they're going to get, they might as well put it on there because people generally don't push them. But if you call and you claim and said, this thing says it's okay on showers, and it ate the anodizing off the aluminum because they used your product, they will send a check for it. And,
Wow.
and it's just education. So Mike, the black is generally a chemical reaction, not a fungus or a mold. And they need to know that. And you can cut it away and it'll go away. And the way to prove it is if you take bleach and you put it on there, because bleach generally kills mold and wipes it away, it will not go off. So they'll say, I've tried to clean it. They're right. They have tried to clean it. It hasn't gone. But you can cut it away.
That's
Well,
like
what silicone do you use?
What's the what? The silicone?
What silicone does who, I don't know who was talking before you, Bill.
Yeah.
Asked the question. What silicone do you
You know
use?
what? The name escapes me. I get it from a vendor out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it's designed for to resist mildew and mold. I'll get the name of it and share it next week. But when I went to that, we have less problems, but still, it seems like every now and then you get one of those people, and it may be like some of the things Bill's talking about. They're using products that they shouldn't, and it's not the caulking. It's you know, but that over the years, it's been an issue from time to time.
Mhm.
you know, that's like black edge on mirror.
Yeah.
You know,
Same thing.
same thing.
Same thing, Chris.
Like a hotel. The maid goes in and just takes that spray bottle and soaks the mirror
Yep.
with whatever, and it goes down in the track and comes back up.
Yep. It's the exact same thing. That's not the
Yeah.
mirror issue.
Like I tell them, I got a friend who has a hotel and a couple of motels in Carmel. I said, tell your maids to spray the rag and wash the mirror. And that's what he
Yeah.
does, and he got rid of the problems. You know.
Vitor, I see you're back.
Yeah, there he is.
You're muted.
Was back.
Vitor, I mean, I've been in touch with him via email, but never seen him on a Skype before. I don't know, Chris, if he's been here before, but I'd love to hear
I don't
from
think
him.
I've seen him before. He posted a little message in the chat saying that he had his baby in his lap, so he was trying to get her to sleep. So, but yeah, there he is. What's going
Tell
on?
him that
Peter?
you're muted. There we
There
go.
we go. I found it. Yeah, I found the mute,
Oh.
the mute button.
There you go.
So how are you guys? It's a great pleasure to hear like a lot of experience that you guys bringing up here, right? I'm basically fresh on the business, but I've been on door and windows business back in Brazil. It's where I come from. So
Brazil.
got here like 6 years ago, and I looked into the market for the shower doors. I saw a lot of curtains on bathrooms and renovation, so why not? This is the way to go. And here I am.
And tell everybody where you are, where you're located.
But yeah, I'm in North Jersey, right? Next to Morristown, and I worked for Glass Crafters for 1 year. And after that, I went on my own, and here I am. I'm getting happy.
Good for
Cool,
you.
welcome
Working
aboard,
hard.
man.
Good
We
for
all
you.
are.
Basic-
It's great. Way to hustle.
Yeah.
Is that,
Basically, my operation is basically I'm a one-man show. still trying to outsource the installation, but it's tough to find someone that you can trust for install on your behalf, right? So I still doing the installation, but I'm aiming to do the business sales and supervise the measurements for sure and installation. But
So,
thank you.
so that Glass Crafters, that was Joe Cano's business?
Yes, Joe.
You were working Joe? Good.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He's done well.
Yeah, they have a really good product. They're very focused on quality, and as I do.
Good.
Most of us, right?
Good. So Chris, what are we gonna do next week?
I don't know. Think about it. That was a great suggestion for this week. You know, I don't know if anybody has some kind of a warranty statement that's in like a PDF format they might like to share with everybody.
Yeah.
Here, hold on. Let me see who it is that needs to be muted. There we go. Yeah, I don't know if anybody has like a PDF of a warranty statement that's kind of comprehensive. They might be willing to share. That we could kind of pass around and check it out and see if it might be useful. Nowadays people are so used to these like huge, things you agree, like, whenever you download some software, it's like, oh, do you agree to these terms and conditions? And it's like 100 pages. Everybody just clicks, yeah, I agree to that, whatever.
Yeah.
I could say, we're going to take your firstborn child or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, whatever, I agree. So
okay,
like
you just made my point though. You just made my point.
Right.
Because everybody does it, right?
Right.
So I would give them this riot rack and they all sign it, but at the end of the day, they're still going to argue about it.
They don't read it.
Nobody reads it.
They don't read it. You just exactly made the point.
They don't read it. I did a shower door for a guy once, and I put in his glass. And he goes, "Oh, it was supposed to be satin." Well, didn't you read my quote? No.
Yeah, those are important things like
Yeah.
that. And stuff.
That's a big
But
one.
anyway, hey, thanks you guys. Thanks for showing up. It's always good to see some new faces out there too. And if you think of something, an idea for a topic, go ahead and put it in the group. Thanks, Robert, for your suggestion this time. That was good, man.
Hey, help me out.
Very good. Very good.
Definitely helped me out.
Well, hey,
right, guys.
enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday.
All right. Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Everyone.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Good night.